Ang pangunahing dahilan kung bakit reluctant or ayaw ng mga travelers na mag-undergo ng RT-PCR swab test is that bukod sa ito ay hassle, ay ito ay mahal. Based on the data collected, ang result from an RT-PCR swab test can be obtained within 24 to 72 hours of waiting time, and you have to pay at least 3,300 pesos per test from a DOH accredited laboratory. I-compare natin yan sa isang alternative na test which is the RT-PCR saliva test, which is ang result pwedeng makuha within 3 to 4 hours, and you will pay a lower cost of 2,200 pesos. Yun nga lang, ito ay makukuha lang sa Red Cross. Kung isa ka sa mga taong ayaw maghintay ng 24 to 72 hours to wait for the result of your RT-PCR test at ayaw mo magbayad ng mas mahal, then this video is for you. This video will explain the 14 places in the Philippines that accept saliva RT-PCR test result as one of the travel document requirements via Cebu Pacific Air. Updated ito this month, April 2021. So if you are planning to visit these places, then I suggest you get the saliva RT-PCR test rather than the SWAB test. Hello guys, welcome to Denzi TV. This is a public service channel providing you with important updates and information related to current events and domestic travel requirements. Please subscribe to this channel if you need such information, and don't forget to hit the notification bell and select all so you can receive all the updates as they come and you won't miss anything. Before we reveal the list of places that accept saliva RT-PCR test result, let's have first these reminders. Please take note that saliva test PCR test result is just an alternative test result na nire-require along with an RT-PCR swab test. So kung merong saliva test na nire-require sa lugar na yan, ay meron din yang swab test requirement. So parang alternative lang yung RT-PCR saliva test along with the antigen test. Pero yung antigen test kasi very rare. Very rarely na nire-require to. Konti lang yung mga lugar na nagre-require ng antigen test. And also, validity of this test is still 72 hours from the time it was taken or conducted. So, kayo na po ang magbilang ng oras, okay? 72 hours or 3 days after you took the test. Okay, hindi ito yung, o depende, no? Kasi, pero most likely yung mga requirement is after it was taken, hindi yung after the result was taken or the result was released. So please always take a look at that requirement kung anong sinasabi after it was taken ba or after the release of the result. Kasi meron mga ibang lugar na after the release of the result. So take note of that. And also, yung testing facility na only yung acceptable, no? Yung allowed lang po na mag-conduct ng saliva RT-PCR test is the Philippine Red Cross. Our first domestic destination that accepts an RT-PCR saliva test result is BACOLOD City. Ano-ano pong mga klase ng tao ang nare-require na mag-submit ng RT-PCR saliva test result? Ito po sila, tourists, non-essential travelers, locally stranded individuals, and returning overseas Filipinos. Ang hindi na-mention dito ay mga APORs. So yung mga APORs, hindi po required na mag-submit ng RT-PCR saliva test. Before we proceed, if you want to know the full set of requirements for a specific place, like for example sa Bacolod, and sa mga lugar na i-mention later on, I'll be posting the links in the video description below, and also I'll be adding cards that appear at the top of the video for your reference para makuha nyo yung kompletong listahan ng mga requirements if you need them. Kasi ang video na to ay para lang po sa mga requirements or sa mga types of travelers na ang requirement nila ay saliva or pwedeng saliva test. Okay? Let's proceed. So, ang second domestic destination natin ay Bohol. And nire-require po ang RT-PCR saliva test for tourists, APORs, LSIs, and returning overseas Filipinos. So basically, lahat ng tao na uh, papasok sa Bohol ay may requirement na RT-PCR test result. And saliva is one of the options that you can take. Ang third location natin ay ang CATICLAN, okay, Boracay. So, para po ito sa lahat ng tourists. So, Boracay is currently accepting tourist only. Okay, tourist lang po ang tinatanggap sa Boracay sa ngayon. So, therefore, yung requirement na RT-PCR saliva test will also be just given to tourists. Fourth place on the list is CORON, BUSUANGA. And ang RT-PCR saliva test ay nare-require sa tourist, LSIs, returning overseas Filipinos, and private APOR. So, ibig sabihin, yung government APOR ay hindi po kasali sa requirement na to. Nasa number 5 ang COTABATO City. And para yon sa lahat ng inbound passengers. Lahat ng papasok sa COTABATO ay kailangan mag-present ng negative RT-PCR test result, whether it's a swab test or a saliva test. Number 6 is Iloilo City, and ang requirement na test result ay para din po sa lahat ng inbound passengers regardless of the category that you belong to. Number 7 on the list is KALIBO, and ang RT-PCR saliva test ay nare-require sa lahat ng pasahero, pero may exceptions. Okay, except returning Aklanon residents who left the province for official transactions or personal travel and who will return to Aklan within 5 days from departure. So, i-make sure lang po na within 5 days lang ng pag-alis ay babalik agad. Kasi kung hindi, then you will be treated as a regular traveler. Ang next exception ay ang returning overseas Filipinos na pinapacilitate ng OWA. Next is travelers from Western Visayas who will not enter Boracay, and all delivery truck personnel passing through or bound for the province of Aklan. So ito lang pong apat na to na sets of people ang exempted sa RT-PCR test requirement. Okay, ito lang. Number 8 on the list is Legazpi City. And ang kanilang saliva test requirement ay para po sa lahat ng pasaherong papasok sa Legazpi Airport. Number 9 is Puerto Princesa. And ang requirement ng saliva RT-PCR test ay para din po sa lahat ng papasok na pasahero sa Puerto Princesa Airport. Number 10 on the list is San Jose, Mindoro. And ang saliva test requirement ay para po sa mga locally stranded individuals, returning overseas Filipinos, and private APOR. So, ang government APOR, hindi po kasali sa requirement na to. 11 and 12 natin ay Surigao and Siargao kasi they have the same or identical requirements. Para po sa lahat ng inbound passengers, pwede kayong mag-present ng saliva test result. Number 13 on the list is VIRAC Catanduanes. And ang kanilang RT-PCR saliva test result ay for all inbound passengers. And the last but not the least, ang number 14, okay, ay ang Davao City, wherein ang RT-PCR test result ay requirement for all inbound passengers na papasok sa lugar. Since ang Davao City po ay nasa general community quarantine pa rin until now, so hindi pa po allowed ang tourist. So only LSIs, APORs, and returning overseas Filipinos and OFWs are allowed to enter the city. At yun po ang 14 places in the Philippines, domestic destinations that accept saliva RT-PCR test result. Okay, via Cebu Pacific Air, updated this month. Okay, so option lang po ito para sa mga gustong makatipid na ayaw magbayad ng mas mahal na swab test. So since allowed naman at acceptable ang saliva test, then why not, 'di ba? So mas maraming options na mas mura, mas maganda for all of us. Thank you so much for watching the video. This has been Densi TV at your service. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will receive all the updates as they come. Thank you so much po and have a nice day.